Hi everyone. Today I'm sharing the process of my cosmic goat image. It was sort of a mixed media piece. Started out with some watercolor and salt. If you've ever done that, it's really cool. Ends up looking like kind of cosmic, a little bit of veiny wherever you get a little overlap with the salt drying on top of other colors. So I had this image that I wanted to start with that, and then I switched over to using some water soluble graphite. If you've never used it, I think it's really, really cool. It comes in all varieties, just like any other pencil. So I was switching a lot between HB, 4B, 8B. And what I really like about this is, first of all, yes, you can do a lot of shading relatively easier than many hatch marks. But you're also going to get kind of a nice matte finish to the graphite, which I really like. Sometimes I don't like to have that intense shine that you might get with a really soft pencil. This kind of dulls everything down a little bit, which is something I wanted for this piece, especially since I was going to combine it with ink and watercolor, and I didn't want it to have a completely different finish. The goat itself he's one of my favorite animals. I always figure I'm eventually going to live on, a nice little property in Switzerland. I have a couple of goats and just hang out in my backyard and watch them climb stuff. But one of the things I really like about them is they just have this sort of mystery about them. Goats are really funny, yes, of course. They scream, they bleat, they make all kinds of really funny sounds, but they also just look really cool. And there's bearded, funny creatures with horns, and this guy looked pretty wise. I met him on a little farm, and he was just hanging out on top of a really tall haystack because they like going to high places. He was just sort of looking around. He just seemed very observant, and I really liked the look on his face, so I took some reference photos before I got down to this image. I'm a sucker for farm animals and birds and any kind of little object that might, go unnoticed if I have the wherewithal and with itness at the moment to actually take a close look at what's in front of me. So he's somebody that, or he's somebody. He's just a creature that I really felt drawn to at a particular moment. So pretty soon I'm gonna start switching again to my markers and different inks. I wanted to combine this graphite with watercolor and also with markers in different mediums, just to get kind of a different look. I like combining graphite with other materials in a way that you get a really cool contrast. I think that it can be really successful in a couple of ways. One, if you just kind of relax and allow yourself to enjoy the process and have all those materials in front of you that you can just pick and choose from. One of the worst things I tend to do is just not have myself set up before I get started and get this idea and then have to root around in all my supplies to find what I want. And if you're anything like me and you're the typical creative type, you might not be so organized. I really envy those people who are, and they just have everything in exactly the right place all the time. I tend to get swept up in the moment and distracted easily and get some great new idea and end up leaving something in a very strange place and having a hard time finding it again. Despite the fact that I got myself a nice book on organizing for the creative person, it all sounds really wonderful in theory, but I have yet to actually put into practice. I try here and there, but I just am not committed enough, and I hope to eventually overcome this problem, just to make my life a little easier. It doesn't take that long, but there's something about it that makes me feel like this is just too much of an overwhelming task. So let's, I don't know, hope for the best in the future for us creative people and actually being able to get things together in a more efficient way. I'm using in this scene some Winsor Newton metallic markers. It's the first time I really use them. I really like them. They go on super smooth and they're shiny but not too intense. They have kind of like a dull shimmer to them, which is really cool. I was also just using a gold Uniball pen, which I really like. It's a really intense gold, and it just adds a lot to the image. At this point, I wasn't really sure exactly where I was going to go. I wanted to have sort of this kind of hippie, cosmic, ancient coin kind of feeling to this goat, like he's connected to some source of knowledge or insight that we just can't see. And I think that is kind of a cool idea. I know animals don't see the world the same way we do. We don't know how they see it, but it's totally different. I do have a creepy story about a haunted house, and there was a bloodhound that my sister had. She lived in this house. I know it was just, there was something in there, and he would have these really creepy moments where he'd actually look up at the ceiling like he was seeing something floating around and just flip out. It was really disturbing. But anyway, thankfully she left that house. It's I didn't want to go there because the dog would just have these little fits and there was just something bad for him. Anyway, that's another story. But I like this idea that we coexist with other species that have totally different views of the world and ways to relating with the world, and that we can have connections with those creatures around us, and a lot of them is very positive relationships. Back to the art side of this, one thing I'm doing here, I'm using some alcohol markers, and I really love the way those just bleed together. I mean, they look really cool. There's capable of this very soft, nice touch. If you don't want super hard edges, you can achieve that. And I wanted some really intense spots to contrast with that graphite. So I switched around a lot in my color scheme and kind of kept with those warm tones, especially with my radiating lines. So I had some kind of a more of a fiery look in those areas. And I think that overall it worked because of the combination of these different elements. And I love circles. Give me a circle as a frame and I can usually come up with something that makes me really happy. And I think that breaking the boundary of your box and not making it always rectangular is a great way to start a new piece. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you like this, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.